She wasn't someone I expected to fall for. Not because she wasn't enough, but because I didn't think the world would let me. She was older, and the kind of woman people whispered about when she walked into a room. Not because of anything. She did, but because of how she held herself. Calm, certain, unapologetic. She didn't shrink herself to fit into anyone's idea of what she should be, and that alone made people stare. And maybe that's what scared me at first, not her, but the silence and stares that would come with loving someone like her. When my father found out, I wasn't hiding it, but I also wasn't ready. I didn't know how to explain something that felt so easy in my heart, but so complicated when spoken out loud. She wasn't a secret, but our love wasn't something I'd shared yet, especially not at the dinner table. Not in my family, not with my father, but he sat me down one day. Calm, serious, no anger in his voice, just curiosity wrapped in care. "I'm not judging," he said, "but I need to understand." And I felt my heart pound, my hands turned warm, my mind searched for the right words. How do you explain something that doesn't make sense to most, but makes perfect sense to you? So I just told him the truth. "She's kind," I said. "She listens, not just to reply, but to understand. She doesn't play games. She says what she means. She doesn't try to win or keep score. She just loves with honesty, and I've never felt more seen in my life." He didn't interrupt, he just listened. His face was calm, eyebrows slightly furrowed like he was really thinking. So I kept going. "She's lived more life. She knows what she wants. She's not guessing at who she is while trying to love someone else. She's not perfect. But with her, I feel grounded." He paused, then asked the one question I didn't expect. "Does she make you better?" And that's when I understood. This wasn't about age. It wasn't about judgment. It was about love, and how it shapes us. "Yes," I whispered. "She challenges me but never tears me down. She slows me when I rush. She sees me when I start to disappear. She loves me, but she doesn't try to own me. And with her, I've learned that love doesn't always have to be loud. It can be soft and strong at the same time." He nodded slowly, took a breath, then said quietly, "You know people will talk. It won't always be easy." "I know," I said, "but the peace I feel with her, it's louder than all the noise outside." And in that moment, something shifted in him. Not judgment, not worry, just something deeper, like a memory returning without warning. And then he said, almost like a secret finally escaping, "When I was younger, I loved someone older too." He had never told me that. Not once. He looked away briefly as if surprised he had even said it aloud. "It didn't last," he said. "Not because it wasn't real, but because I didn't have the courage to hold on. People talked, my parents, my friends, and I let their voices drown out my own. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to ruin the moment." "She taught me things no one else did," he continued. "She saw worth in me when I couldn't see it myself. But I let her go. And for years after, I kept wondering, what if I had stayed?" And that's when I understood everything. He wasn't just asking about my relationship. He was asking about his past, his regrets. Maybe that's why he didn't push me away from her. Maybe that's why he didn't warn me with fear. He had already lived this road. "You're grown now," he said. "I'm not here to control your choices. I just needed to know if you were in this for the right reasons. And I can see that you are." I nodded, quietly. And then he said something that stayed with me. "If you found peace in her, don't trade that for anyone's approval, not even mine." Later, I told her he wanted to meet. She paused mid-sip, lifted her eyes, unsure. "Your father?" she asked softly. I nodded. "He knows, he wants to meet you." She didn't answer right away, just stared down at her cup. I could see it in her eyes, the doubt, the quiet worry. She's seen it before. the judgment hidden in kind voices, the small smiles that don't feel real. So I reached for her hand and said, "He's not coming to test us. He just wants to meet the woman who makes me feel like myself." She smiled, unsure, but open. We met at a small cafe. Nothing loud, nothing showy. Just warm lights and empty tables. She wore something simple. Her hair was up. She was nervous, but she stood tall. And when he walked in, he didn't hesitate. No awkwardness, no testing tone. Just walked up, offered his hand, and said, "It's good to finally meet you. I've heard more than you'd believe." She gave a soft laugh, polite. But I saw the tightness in her shoulders. Then he looked at her, really looked, and said, "I won't ask about your age. I won't dig into your past. I just want to know who you are. To my son." She glanced at me for a second, still unsure. Then she looked back at him and spoke softly. "I'm the one who loves him without needing to fix him. The one who sits beside him even in silence. The one who doesn't want to change who he is, just wants to walk with him." He nodded slowly, respectfully, and I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. Not just respect for me, but for her. He smiled then, real, warm. "I didn't expect this," he said, "but I can see it now. He's calmer, stronger, and I think that has a lot to do with you." I felt her ease then, just a little. Her hand found mine under the table, and for once I didn't care who saw. After we ate, I stepped out briefly, to the car. No plan, no setup, just gave them space. When I came back, they were still talking, not stiff, not guarded, just talking. Like two people trying to meet each other halfway. That night she told me what he said while I was gone. He leaned forward, she said, looked me in the eye and said, "He's always been strong, but with you, he doesn't have to prove it anymore." That hit her. That hit me too. Then he said, even softer, "I've seen people come and go from his life, but he talks about you like you're not just part of it. You're his piece inside it." She told me she didn't know what to say. So she said the only thing that felt true. "I don't know how long I'll be here. None of us do. But while I am, I'll love him with everything I've got." And you know what my father said? Not, "I hope you do." Not, "We'll see." He just nodded and whispered, "That's more than enough." The next time we met, it wasn't a cafe. It was just a slow Sunday, soft sun, no plans, just us. She made tea. He brought pastries from the shop he took me to as a kid. That small box of warm pastries said it all. "I'm trying." She laid out the cups. He helped without asking. And for once, I didn't feel like I was trying to balance two lives. It just felt like home. We sat around the table. The air was easy. They asked each other questions, light ones. He asked about her favorite books. She asked what kind of kid I was. That part was risky, but it made her laugh. And that made it worth it. Later, in the living room with golden light spilling across the floor, we all sat together. She beside me, him across. No one forcing conversation, just peace. And when she asked about an old photo on the shelf, he told a story I hadn't heard in years. He laughed, deep, honest. She laughed too, and I saw it clearly. This wasn't about asking him to accept her. It was about letting him see what I saw. And now, he did. As the sun sank low, he shifted in his chair and looked at her. "Can I ask you something real?" he said. She nodded. "Were you scared to be with him?" The air held still. Not because it was sharp, but because it was true. She sat up, calm. "Yes," she said, terrified, "because I've loved people who didn't know what to do with someone like me. Someone with stories, with scars, with more past than future." There was no sadness in her voice. Just truth. Quiet, grounded truth. "But what scared me more," she continued, "was the idea of not trying, of never knowing if something this rare could last." And in that moment, I realized something I never expected. She had taken pieces of me, my time, my walls, my fears. But in their place, she left something beautiful, a love I never knew I could have, a peace I never knew I needed. And now, even my father could see it too, of walking away before I ever let myself be seen, not the kind of scene that glances notice, but the kind that stays, that memorizes your laugh, and still holds you close when the laughter fades. She paused, and the silence wrapped gently around her words. My father didn't speak right away, but I saw something shift again. Not just in his eyes, but in his understanding. He wasn't just hearing her. He was beginning to feel the weight she carried, the bravery it took to sit there with us, to risk being misunderstood again just to love me openly. And then he said something I'll never forget. He leaned in, voice lower now, like he was speaking to a truth he had hidden inside himself for far too long. "I'm glad you stayed," he said. Simple words, but they landed heavy, like the ending of a long-held ache. "I'm glad you didn't walk away." She blinked, and for the first time, I saw tears welling quietly in her eyes. Not from pain, but from being seen without defense. Because someone finally met her heart not with suspicion, but with gentleness. That day, something beautiful happened in the smallest, quietest way. There was no dramatic music, no grand speeches, just the warmth of tea cooling on the table, and the way peace began to live between the three of us. Later, when she and I were alone, she rested her head on my shoulder and whispered, "I didn't know it could feel like this. Being loved and not having to prove why I deserve it." I didn't answer with words. I just held her hand a little tighter, because sometimes the most honest truths live in silence shared.